All right. Welcome everybody to another episode of Hot Seat Automotive Podcast. It's your buddy CJ here, talking about all things automotive industry, all things about the automotive enthusiast hobby, and all the stuff that real gearheads are interested in talking about. This is the home of Real Gearhead Talk. We say it all the time. This is a place where car guys and car girls love talking about and learning about exotic cars and classic cars and what's going on in the automotive industry, cool automotive themed events, and car guy stuff, car culture stuff in general. So welcome everybody. Welcome back to all my subscribers. Love and appreciate each and every one of you. If you haven't subscribed yet, give me a like and subscribe. Would love to have you as part of the channel. We're really building a community here. Started the channel just a couple months ago and it's growing incredibly. Thanks to you guys. Thanks to my fellow gearheads out there. Guys, we just love talking about cars. It's what car guys do. It's what automotive enthusiasts do. We talk about cars. We look at cars. We get involved in the automotive community and in events. And I had the privilege of doing something this week. I'm here in Amelia Island, Florida. See, buddy CJ's coming to you from the road. Buddy CJ's bringing you the action from Amelia Island, Florida. Guys, I came down on a rally with Legendary Autosports, based in the Charlotte, North Carolina area. They do rallies and all kinds of motorsport-themed events. Automotive enthusiast events. If you're not familiar with them, check out Legendary Autosports. My buddy Troy Macias runs the organization. His first rally to the Amelia, although he's been involved with the Amelia event, the big Concours d'Elegance event here in Amelia Island, Florida, which is a lot of collector cars and exotic cars and historic cars. There's auctions, there's displays. There's a Concours, as they call it, which is basically a high-end car show. Let's call it what it is, as well as other related events. So it's really something kind of different and fascinating and fun for a car guy. I'm going to talk about what I think about it. But the rally itself was great. From Charlotte, North Carolina, we came down through South Carolina, through Georgia, a bunch of stops along the way, ultimately arriving here in Amelia Island, Florida. Did 600 plus miles. I took the 2021 C8 Z51 Stingray Corvette. I tried to go on live earlier and show you guys some stuff with the car on Instagram, but of course I ran into technical difficulties. Your buddy CJ is going to admit it, and I'm sorry, but I ran into some technical difficulties. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go out and record another video after this, and I promise I'll post that as well. I'm going to go over some things with why I chose to take the C8 Corvette on this rally instead of my Lamborghini Huracan, for example, and the differences between the two. I may do a whole other video on that as well. But back to the matter at hand. Here at the Amelia, as it's known, what is it? As I mentioned, think of it in a nutshell as a high-end automotive enthusiast weekend, a series of events, auctions, Concours d'Elegance, which is a fancy way of saying a high-end car show. Let's be blunt. Your buddy CJ keeps it real. I don't put on airs. I'm not bougie. I'm real. I'm a car guy. And I'm here to tell you it's a high-end car show, okay? There's a lot more to it than that, of course. I'm going to talk about a very specific auction preview that I had the privilege and the pleasure to go to this morning. Broad Arrow Auctions, a Hagerty company. Shout out to Hagerty, not only for sponsoring the Legendary Autosports Rally that I participated in, and I'm still participating in, but they also own Broad Arrow, the auction company. Incredible, incredible cars that are getting ready to go. The auction's getting ready to start. It's today and tomorrow. This is Friday, tomorrow's Saturday. I guess they'll wrap it up tomorrow. But Hagerty's just been a great host as well. Shout out to Spencer Gates and all of the other folks, Sammy and all of the others, Barb at Hagerty, who've been so wonderful and helpful to your buddy CJ. Love all of you guys. Guys, let's get into it. I thought what I would start by doing today is to talk specifically about my experience earlier today, at the Broad Arrow auction preview. So I had the opportunity to go over to the Ritz-Carlton here in Amelia Island, where they're previewing all of the auction lots. And what are the auction lots? They're cars and some trucks, some very special cars. Collector cars for every budget. I'll say, generally speaking, here in Amelia Island with Broad Arrow, it's on the higher end. There are seven-figure cars, and we're going to look at a couple of them. But then there are things that are a bit more attainable and almost in the normal human being stratosphere, if you will. there are cars expected to go 30, 50, 70, 100K, 200K, 300K, half million. But then you start getting up into the upper echelons, if you will, of these cars. Historically significant cars, rare cars, ultra super special hyper cars, ridiculous classic restored or vintage racers, all kinds of stuff. We're looking at some seven-figure cars. So let's go ahead and look at, I picked four. Your buddy CJ picked four cars I want to talk to you just a bit about while I share a bit of my experience at the Broad Arrow, the Broad Arrow auction preview here at Amelia Island. Let's check it out, shall we? Let's check it out together, as we always do on this channel. Guys, what about Bugatti? Guys, this is the Bugatti Chiron, and this specifically is the Pure Sport trim. So not only is it a super special hypercar, multi-million-dollar car, but it's also a limited edition Pure Sport model from 2022. At the Broad Arrow auction here on Amelia Island, this car is expected to go from $4 to $5 million. That's an estimate. It's a $4 to $5 million car. The options alone in this car, this is truly a hypercar. Forget about supercar. This is hypercar. The options alone originally in this car, it's like a $4 million car. I saw the sticker, the original window sticker. The options alone, guys, almost $400,000. This particular example has been in the Peterson Museum in LA. We're talking about a car with 690 horsepower per ton. That's the power to weight ratio. Ridiculous. This one I think is speed limited at about 218 miles per hour. But the Chiron in general, this being a special edition with special gearing and that type of thing, the Chirons are 250 mile per hour plus cars. I think it's like 261 miles per hour. Ridiculous. Who remembers the episode of Top Gear where Captain Slow drove the Bugatti? I think it was the Veyron, way up there, 200 plus miles an hour. I think he went for a couple of max speed runs. It was just absolutely ridiculous. Godspeed, Captain Slow. Who remembers that? Leave me comments if you do. Let me know what you think about Bugatti. Leave me comments. Guys, we're talking about a car, 16-cylinder, 8-liter engine, 4 turbos, 1,500 horsepower. 1,500 horsepower, okay? Just ridiculous. Now, the one thing with cars like this is an absolutely beautiful, incredible car, hypercar in every sense of the word, one of 60, somewhere around 60 produced, and it's going to probably sell in this auction from $4 to $5 million bucks, right? I find the hypercars kind of hard to relate to. They're just in such an upper stratosphere, right? And above and beyond what the mass majority of the population could ever get near, drive, or own. So it's not even an aspirational car as a car guy, right? And let me know if you guys feel the same way. Your buddy CJ, when I look at cars, I need to be able to relate to the car. I need to be able to touch it, sit in it, drive it, experience it, right? It's got to be something that I actually could see myself owning and driving. For example, I'm on this road rally with Legendary Autosports. Do I ever see myself in a Bugatti Chiron on a road trip or rally? That's not going to happen. And I know that. So because of that, for me, and let me know if you feel differently, there's a disconnect with a car like this. I appreciate it. I'm drawn to it. When I see it, I want to check it out, but I don't feel a connection with it. It's not attainable. It's out of reach. And additionally, I know that a car like this, a $4 to $5 million car, is really going to spend its life probably going from collection to collection, from museum display to museum display, from concours event, from auction to auction. So again, that removes the car from being relatable. Is it a museum piece? Is it a collector's item? Or is it a car? Because it can't be all things, right? A car is something I can jump in and drive. When I think about a collector like Jay Leno, I'm just picking on Jay Leno. The man drives his cars, and he's got a bit of everything. And listen, to each his own in this hobby. But, and I don't know if Jay Leno has a Bugatti or not. But, over the years, a guy like that, you could see him on the road with pretty much anything. So you can relate, even though Jay's a super wealthy, successful Hollywood guy, every car guy could relate to Jay on some level, right? And I'm just using that as an example. When I look at a car like a Bugatti Chiron, $4 to $5 million collector's item, and the folks who might be trading that, I'll probably find it hard to relate. So that's just me as a car guy sharing a little bit about what I think. You guys let me know what you think. Absolutely incredible. Let's look at another one of these ridiculous hypercars that I had the opportunity and the privilege to see today. By the way, guys, I made a video. I made a short, a reel, if you will. I posted that on my Instagram, Hot Seat Gearheads. If you're not following me on Instagram, jump on Instagram. I post a lot of reels up there. I also do the same on YouTube and Facebook. But I took a lot of shots of these cars. I had the chance to see the Bugatti up close, took some shots, some footage, and this car as well. This is the Lamborghini Scion. Cian? Anyway, Sian. I'm going to pronounce it the way I do. If you don't like it, that it is what it is. But Lamborghini Scion. And what we're talking about here is a 2021 vehicle, Lamborghini's first hybrid, but it's not what you think. Okay, this car's got the underpinnings of an Aventador, the carbon fiber chassis and some other underpinnings. This car is estimated, it's a bargain compared to the Bugatti. The Lamborghini Sian is a bargain compared to the Bugatti, guys. This is expected at the Broad Arrow auction to go for between $3 and $3.75 million. So if you want to snap this one up, let me know. I'll put in a bid for you, but we're using your checkbook. Guys, they produced 82 of these, 63 were coupes, and this one is a coupe, that magic number 63 in Lamborghini world. The options alone on this car, check this out, you ready? The options alone in this car, this hybrid hypercar, were $237,000, according to Broad Arrow. This has a 6.5-liter V12, guess what? It's foundationally the same power plant that they put in the Aventador, but of course it's enhanced and tuned or whatever else they do to it to put it in a special car like this. This is a hybrid, but it doesn't use batteries, guys. Check this out. It has what they refer to as a supercapacitor. Now, you guys know what capacitors are. Maybe you don't. I'm not going to turn this into an academic discussion, but a capacitor is an electrical component that can absorb a charge and then very quickly expel the charge. So it's very fast to charge, but then it's quick to discharge. And typically, this is for like startup current and industrial or startup voltage and certain, technical devices and machinery and that type of thing over the years. But the capacitor in this capacity, the supercapacitor in this capacity in the Lamborghini Scion is plugged right into that 7-speed dual clutch transmission. This car does have a dual clutch transmission. It is all-wheel drive. Okay, it's got that supercapacitor in addition to the V12. It's got that supercapacitor. It's not a plug-in hybrid or anything like that. It charges, it uses regenerative braking to charge that capacitor. And then the capacitor feeds in and kind of fills in on torque gaps between shifts or in the 0 to 80 mile per hour initial acceleration. So essentially, think of that supercapacitor. It's not like it's there for efficiency, really. It's not there to be green by any stretch. How can a V12 hypercar from Lamborghini be green? It's not green. It really isn't. It is a hybrid, but it's hybrid in the context of having the supercapacitor providing additional power through that dual clutch transmission, okay, to really bump up performance, 0 to 80 miles per hour, then to fill in the gap between shifts. This thing has about 808 total horsepower. It's just unbelievable. And again, I claim a car like this, beautiful, technology marvel, rare. It is exquisite. It's amazing to see, but I feel somewhat disjointed and disconnected from a $3 to $4 million car, $5 million car, whatever it might be in the case of the Bugatti. I just don't find them as relatable. I still love them. I still think they're cool, but I'm not going to sit there and drool over the thing. To me, a car is something, it's got to be tangible. It's got to be attainable. And for some of us, that means something different than it might to others, right? Car's got to be attainable, aspirational, but it can't be like a museum piece for me to really get excited about it. That's just me. So guys, that's a couple of the hypercars. Let's get into the realm of the attainable, though? What's tangible? What's something that you might actually see on the road and be able to get close to and appreciate a bit more frequently than a Bugatti? And let's take a look at this car, which I think, guys, is just so iconic. At the Broad Arrow auction here in Amelia Island, today I had the opportunity to check out this car, this Porsche 928. This happens to be a 1978 car. That's the first year of the 928. It was car of the year when it came out. Okay. And this car is up for auction. This one's estimated to go between $50,000 and $70,000 in the auction here in Amelia Island. So attainable and within reach. Now, you can get a 928 for less than that. And depending on special edition, you might be on the higher end of that, right? But this one, the auction estimate is somewhere between 50 and 70K. You know, the interesting thing, I mentioned the first year of the 928, which this is a first year example, kind of cool. This car had an 18-year run. What do you guys think about that? Sometimes I forget as a car guy that the Porsche 928 had a nearly 20-year run, 2 years short of 20 years. Unbelievable. The interesting thing about this, for those that know a thing or two about Porsches, on the down low, this car was intended to replace the 911. Things going on in the economy, and things going on at Porsche, changing customer appetite, that type of thing. The thought was to sunset the 911 platform in favor of this, what was at the time, new, modern, high-tech engine out front, used a V8 power plant. How about that? Porsche sports car with the V8 out front. Kind of interesting. This car had an aluminum body. Okay. This car had more power than the 911s. But history spoke and the automotive community spoke. While this car had a long run, the 911 ended up coming out the winner, and we said goodbye to the 928. Now, interestingly enough, I always found it interesting that in many ways the Panamera was like the next generation 928. Let me know what you guys think. I know they're different. In that the Panamera is a four-door. But this car, this 928, when it came out in 1978, was really meant to be a grand tour. You had 4 seats, right? You had air conditioning. You had all these things. You could go on road trips and tour around with it with 4 people comfortably. That was the idea. It's kind of what the Panamera ultimately became, which I think is interesting. But there's an attainable car here in Amelia Island at the Broad Arrow auction. Check it out online. You could go online and watch the live auction. Check out Broad Arrow. They've got some amazing auctions. They're owned by Haggerty. And they've really got something for everybody. Like I said, I had the opportunity to go and do the preview today. And I saw a bunch of things that kind of caught my eye, including these 4 cars and the last one I'm about to show you. And I'm really grateful to Haggerty and Broad Arrow for having me there today. Guys, let's take a look at one more together. Let's take a look at one more car together, because I just think these are so cool. So where are my Mercedes fans at? Who's out there that's a Mercedes-Benz or AMG fan? Let's not forget where Mercedes-Benz kind of started in that sports car, performance car realm. The brand, the image, so iconic, even going back to the 1960s and the 1970s. For example, at the Broad Arrow auction, at the preview today here in Amelia Island, I had the opportunity to check this car out. This is a 1970 Mercedes-Benz SL, also known as the Pagoda. This platform, this car, when it first came out, the first generation, because it had that hard top, that removable hard top, it's kind of in the shape of a pagoda, Japanese pagoda, I guess. And so it picked up the nickname Pagoda, and it stuck, you know? And I think it's kind of a cute nickname. These cars are cute. They're beautiful as, aesthetically. I had the opportunity to drive several of these this past summer. I took a trip. I was really privileged to take a trip with the Mercedes-Benz Club to tour around Tuscany in these vintage Mercedes-Benz 280 SLs. And they were just delightful. So much fun to drive, even all those years later, 50 years later. And these cars, and even the slightly newer ones, 40 to 50 years old, these cars were, and they still felt solid, okay? They had automatics, they had manuals. I kind of enjoyed driving the automatics. You could downshift and manually shift the automatics a bit, but they were fantastic just for cruising and cruising through the hills of Tuscany, if you will, in these classic Mercedes-Benz SLs, and they were just fantastic. This example is going through the auction block, and it's estimated by Broad Arrow Auctions that it's going to go for between 100K and 130K. So somewhere between 100K and 130K. These are solid, well-built cars, okay? This car has a 2.8 liter straight six. This one, interestingly enough, being in 1970, apparently in the late 90s, it went through a full disassembly and restoration, professionally done, with receipts. They spent, according to Broad Arrow Auctions, $142,000 to restore this car. Now let's see what it's going for, right? It's going to be kind of interesting to see how this auction plays out. Broad Arrow is estimating it at between 100K and 130K. The restoration alone years ago apparently cost 142,000. But what they're saying is this is a correct restoration. You know, you can get these cars for less. I've looked into it. I'm a fan of these cars. I thought about grabbing one of these. The issue is, you know, if you see, well, you know, that one looks like it's a steal, you find out it's not correct. It's not necessarily, as they say, fully sorted. The interior might have some issues with it. You know, did the car use the right hardware, the right engine components in this restoration? This one probably did. It looks like it's a super high-end professional restoration. Cost over $140,000 apparently to perform the restoration. So I didn't inspect the car myself, so to speak, but I'm sure it's done right. Not every restoration is done right. It may be a nice restoration that you might see, or it might be a resto mod. But to take a car back to factory spec, so to speak, and to make it technically and historically accurate, that's kind of like the next stratosphere, as I say, around restorations. And apparently that's what they did with this Mercedes 280 SL Pagoda 1970. And I claim it's an attainable car together with that Porsche 928. Listen, if you have an extra $4 to $5 million bucks, go snag the Bugatti Chiron, right? Or hey, if you're hurting a little bit and you only have $3 or $3.5 million floating around, go make a bid on that Lamborghini Sian. But you know, guys, I'm just having a little bit of fun. We love everything with four wheels, right? But you know, your buddy CJ just finds himself relating more to cars that are more attainable, things that you might actually see on the road cruising around, rather than things that are more museum pieces or stashed away in a super wealthy person's private collection, never to see the light of day, except when it comes out for auctions every few years. Nothing wrong with that. It's just a different aspect of the hobby. So let me know what you guys think. Leave your comments. You know your buddy CJ loves talking to you, love interacting with you. Please give me a like and subscribe. Your buddy CJ's coming at you this week, live from Amelia Island, here for the big Concours d'Elegance event, which is kind of a long-winded way of saying it's a fancy car show. It's a high-end car show. It's a high-end series of events for automotive enthusiasts focused on collector cars, historically significant cars, cars with a motorsports pedigree, that type of thing. Some super special collections here. All of the high-end manufacturers and auction houses and collectors are all kind of congregating here. So it's a fascinating event. It's just different than a lot of different types of events you might go to. This is one of those higher-end type automotive enthusiast events. So I'm going to get back to enjoying the weekend. It's Friday. I'm going to continue to report on what I see. Follow me on Instagram, Hot Seat Gearheads. Look for my reels, my content that I share there. Some will be different than what I share here on YouTube. And guys, give me a like and subscribe here on YouTube. You can see my full episodes here on YouTube. And when I get back from the rally, we're going to get back to our regular kind of routine. Right now, 1,200 miles in a handful of days and a bunch of different stops with Legendary Autosports. Troy doing the rally together with Haggerty. Blacktop Excursions is involved as well, all out of the Charlotte area. Check them out. These are great organizations that are doing some really cool things, not just in the Charlotte area, but nationally. Automotive enthusiast events, rallies, road trips, I'm just really excited about 2024, and this is kind of the first big event for me, getting on the road. As you can see, I'm here. This is not a fake background, by the way. This is actually my townhouse here in Amelia Island, and guys, just having a blast here. Gonna get out, gonna have dinner with some friends tonight. Tomorrow, if you're in Amelia Island, go to the Cars and Coffee. Look for your buddy CJ. I'll have my red 2021 C8 on display, and it'll have the livery of Legendary Autosports Rally. I'd love to meet you. Come on up and introduce yourself. Let's talk about cars. That's what we do. But listen, guys, I'll see you on the next one. I'm going to be bringing some more content now that I'm landed here in Amelia Island. And guys, just listen, have a wonderful weekend and be safe. And if you're here in Amelia Island, look me up. Guys, I'll see you on the next one. Peace.